I think last meeting was super helpful, honestly. Pointed out a lot of blind spots that I hadn't thought of and gave me a lot to think about and fix. So, did you by chance see the email I sent on Monday or Tuesday?
I did, yeah.
Sweet. Okay. Do you have any initial thoughts on that?
Yes, let me just pull it up here. So, yeah, I think so. Like overall, minimizing the number of experiments, I think is a good idea. Um, and I think what you have is all pretty reasonable. I don't think actually. I was wondering if maybe the shot distance, because that can be depending who the hunter is, hard to estimate. I know in the past what I usually do is like if I've shot something, I will um, record where I shot it, a pin where I shot it from, and then a pin where, well, uh, I'm still new to hunting. The one elk that I got, first attempt, first recovery, it dropped right where it was, so I was able to record where I shot from and then record where it was.
Yeah.
So I had a really good estimate, at least on like horizontal distance.
hmm
Um,
Well, I think
and
the expect or like I think the ideal that everyone expects is that you'll have time to range the animal.
yeah, true.
I've only ranged, I've killed five big game animals. I think I only ranged two of them,
Okay.
maybe. If I ranged, yeah. So I don't think it always works out like that, but I feel like I've always gotten a reliable reading because even if I don't range them before I shoot them, I range them after. Um,
Okay.
so like I range
Uh,
where I shot them at after, you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Or like the cow that I shot, I put a pin where I shot it from, and I put a pin after where it was when I shot it, and then used Onyx to measure the lines. Um,
Yeah, so maybe if there's like some additional instruction there where you can say, you can use a number of methods to estimate shot distance.
okay, I think that's a great idea. So either
Um,
do you rangefinder or basically using Onyx.
Onyx or rangefinder, or like some people might just estimate it. Some people might be like, I'm a pro at this. It was 200 yards.
Yeah,
And
I think honestly I would discourage against that. I want to try to get more objective data. So I think any type of objective reading, even though it's not going to be 100% accurate, would be better. I don't know of any hunters that hunt without a rangefinder, honestly, or hunt without Onyx, or either or.
true. Yeah, I definitely agree. It's not preferable. I think my argument for it would be in the interest of just getting as much data as possible. Like if all someone's willing to provide is an estimate, then it's something. And if you know it's an estimate and not, say, rangefinder, then you can kind of weight it accordingly. But I mean, I totally hear you. Like it's far from preferable.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm going to record an instructional video for each Google form that I've made, and I think the way I'll word it is I'll strongly suggest them to get a accurate reading. But they'll record. I think they're going to end up recording it however they like.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how many rounded values we get. Like if we get a lot of 100-yard shots or 150-yard shots, obviously it's likely that those are rounded. So I think
totally.
we'll get a lot of interesting data on that.
Yeah. I like the idea of just doing bullet name, bullet weight, barrel length. I think
Okay.
that's way just friendlier than having people try to estimate muzzle energy or whatever else. I mean,
Yeah,
I have a chronograph, but like most people don't. And
I don't. Yeah, yeah. I've never used one. Well, that's not true. I've used one before, but um, I have no idea what speed my arrows are going, or some of my bullets I do, but I guess one thing we'll have to figure out too is standards for each one of those. For example, my 22 Creedmoor, it goes for depending on the barrel length, depending on the loading, it can be very, very different. So I think we'll have to assume standards, both for free recoil for the metrics that we want to test for, like free recoil,
yeah,
muzzle energy. Obviously, we'll include barrel length in there. What do you think about um, where am I going with that? I just blanked out so hard. Oh yeah, what do you think about impact energy and impact velocity? How we should calculate that? And in the email, I'd mentioned that I'd read a study that literally just did they subtracted 1 meter a second per meter of shot distance, or should
Yeah,
we
I think
take
that's
something
pretty
more comp?
reasonable. I think some
Okay.
kind of heuristic like that is probably fine. I mean, you're already going to know the muzzle energy, so I mean, I don't know how else you would get that.
Well, I mean, I was thinking if we want to take a more complicated route, we could, since we'll have the bullet name, we can look up the BC if we have a separate table for BCs for all the popular cartridges. And then we could go off of
Oh,
a
sure.
standardized velocity. We'd obviously have to assume if we did BC, we'd have to assume things like elevation, temperature, set a standard for all the factors that go into that. So it'd be a lot of assumptions there. I don't know how much
Um,
more accurate it would be, honestly, than just doing a general estimate.
it would be interesting to characterize that. Like, um, you could just go to a range and take some shots and see how it compares.
Yeah.
Um, hmm,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of an open-ended question. I think we don't even have to figure that out now, because as long as we're getting the data, as long as what I do want to finalize this meeting is what data we're going to be collecting. Um, but as long as we're collecting that data, specific data, we can figure out the process and how we're going to create our metrics in any way.
And
Um,
so, and this kind of gets back to what we had talked about last time of like, what is the hypothesis? Like shooting this bullet is better than shooting another bullet,
I mean,
or
I mean that.
shooting closer is better than shooting further.
Yeah, that's a question I have too. I mean, do we need a hypothesis? Because I mean, personally, I prefer to go into it with no assumptions. I mean, I have my own biases that I'd be happy to go on about. Um, but I mean, I do want to test things like, we're going to test lead bullets versus copper bullets, and in the same research objective, we're also testing big versus small calibers. So, I mean, do
Mhm.
we need a hypothesis?
I mean, I think it helps you answer the question of um, uh, what kind of data we need to record.
Okay.
Like, um, if you strictly care about, you know, bonded versus monolithic, then technically, in a way, shot distance doesn't really matter. I mean, obviously, providing shot distance allows you to sort of eliminate bias associated with like, if everyone rocking monolithic is shooting from 100 yards, then that's probably gonna perform better than the bonded, regardless of whether the bullet is actually better or not. Um, but uh, yeah, I guess my point is that like having some question you're trying to answer will help kind of tailor the data that needs to be collected. And it's kind of that's like step one of the scientific method, right? Like
Yeah.
what is the test? What are you trying to learn?
So what I have questions that I want answered. So that's what you said at the end. I have
Yeah,
questions
yeah,
that I want
yeah.
answered, but I don't necessarily have hypothesis. So the two questions I want answered really, the main one is big versus small calibers. What has a higher recovery rate on a shot per shot or shot attempt basis? Right. So if they shoot 1,000 shots with a 223 versus 1,000 shots with 300 Win Mag, which one is going to recover more elk?
Uh-huh.
And then same for bullet type, right? Lead versus monolithic, bonded, match bullets. Um, is that I mean that's not a hypothesis, right? I could give a hypothesis, like my own personal
Yeah, it's basically a
expectation.
hypothesis, right? Yeah, like I guess the true hypothesis would be like a larger caliber bullet is going to result in more recoveries, but
Yeah.
it's not like you're going to run the experiment in a way that doesn't actually you're not like seeking to necessarily prove your hypothesis. Oh, sorry, my dog. There's a delivery guy.
No, don't hear.
Um, you're not necessarily seeking to prove the hypothesis. You're just trying to test if it's true or not. But it's the same
Yeah.
thing, right? Like
Okay.
you've got the questions you're trying to answer.
Okay.
Um, one other thing was you said you're going to break it up into like rifle shot attempt, archery shot attempt, and then calling.
Mhm.
What what did you have in mind for the calling?
So the calling was actually the initial why I wanted
Right.
to do this study in the first place. Even I didn't really care that much, honestly, about shot attempts. But calling it's not on this slide or not on this PowerPoint.
But
Um,
you thinking like the original, like how did or where you called, trying to remember all the different data associated with that,
the
where the
main
animal was.
well, the main research objective on that one, or I guess the question,
Uh-huh.
is going to be bugles versus cow mews. What has a higher success rate of hearing a bugle response back at you?
Okay.
But I think with the all the data we're going to get from the Onyx pins, we can also incorporate other tests like or other data like how does the time of day affect your success rate for each one of those? Are bugles better early season and then cows get better, towards the rut or data like that. But I think the overarching question is just bugles versus cow mews.
Okay.
Does that answer that?
Yeah, it does. I'm
Okay.
trying to remember like what all the data that you would want to collect. So um I know you were wanting to record like the location of the call, like where the call is done.
hmm
Um, were you thinking that you would record like the frequency or like a pin for every call?
Yeah, yeah. So that's the big difference or a change that I made, I guess not for locations, but so yeah, I want them to hit mark my location for every time they bugle.
Okay.
And every time they do a cow se or a mew sequence, um, to put a mark my location on that also, and then just add it to the appropriate folder, bugle or mew.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think we're gonna get the rules for that are going to be a lot more strict. I think we're going to have a lot less people sign up for that, obviously, because they're marking their exact location. It's a lot more intensive on the data they have to collect, right?
Yeah.
It is
It's a
honestly
lot
pretty
of
quick because
data.
I did it last year. Like I bugled, hit mark my location, add it to a folder like while I was waiting to see if an elk responded. It honestly is really quick. And then I hit hide on map so it wouldn't clutter up my map.
Hmm.
Um, but I think um, one thing I want to mention too is that I think if we get one person to sign up for this calling effectiveness research objective, just for calling bugles versus cow mews, I think an average hunter might record 25 to 50 bugles per season or mew sessions per season, right? Versus, so that's going to be a lot of data just per person that ends up
Hmm.
signing up. Versus the call attempt or the shot attempts, we're going to get zero point 0.2 shot attempts per hunter just because
Right.
over the counter sucks, right? So I do want to focus more on getting people to sign up for rifle and archery shot attempts just because I mean, if you do the math on that, that's 250 times more people or more data points per person
Yeah.
on calling effectiveness. So I do think we'll get a lot less people to sign up for that, but I think that'll be fine. I also think people are less interested in that, to be honest. I think the much more controversial and high ticket item is the shot attempts.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, any concerns or I guess I didn't include the data points that I want them to that I want included on the oh I guess so yeah to sum it up really I don't want any only time I want them to write notes if they do a calling sequence or a location call is just to write yes if they hear a response in the notes. I don't want them to record no on every time they don't hear one or any other specific notes. I want them literally just to type yes if they do hear one, just because that'll be so much more streamlined than any other
Hmm.
possible option.
Yeah, I'm kind of going back to what I had thought through last time, or what I was thinking when I first read that, which is like I'm just kind of spitballing here, but like if there's a way to if you record your location, because like most people, I don't know, I guess some people do really run and gun. I'm the type of person that like picks a spot and I'm there for at least an hour.
Really? Okay.
Um, yeah, and so like with that style, it's a lot easier to imagine a scenario where you mark your point and then you just put in some data about like how aggressive or how frequent you're calling. Um, so something like I sat here for an hour and I was calling every 15 minutes or whatever else. And I was doing like pretty soft mews versus like a real aggressive bugle or something like that.
Yeah. That's a good point because yeah, I do a combination of both.
Hmm.
Well, let me ask you this. When you're doing that, when you're sitting there for an hour, is your goal to locate one through a response or to call one in or both?
It depends, right? Yeah, like I guess, and that's a good point. Like if you're just trying to locate one, you're going to be moving around a lot more.
Yeah.
Because if you don't hear anything back, move on. Um, I mean, I'm still the kind of person that is like, well, maybe they're quiet or something. I'm just gonna see how it plays out. Um, But I know most hunters are not necessarily like that.
Right. Well, so if
Yeah,
you
I don't
were
know.
if you're sitting there for an hour, and let's say you're doing bugles, um, if you do one every 15 minutes or so, we'll say everyone's different, right? Let's say you do one every 15 minutes. Um, wouldn't that still work if you're just marking my location?
It would, yeah.
Okay.
And I was just kind of biased by like the way that I hunt. I think to your
Well,
point,
me
like
too.
if you're running a gun in, it probably makes more sense to just pin every time.
Yeah. And honestly, I'd love to record data like if they included chuckles, was it raspy? You know what I mean? Or was it a high
Yeah.
note too? Um, I'd absolutely love to record data like that. And initially, I wanted to record data on call-in attempts too, but I don't know how to standardize that yet. So I think honestly for this year, we'll just keep it simple.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. You can always put like an optional field, like describe your calling behavior or something,
See,
and
that's
then
where I get
use like
confused. Is optional data going to
LLM or
like
something.
muddy it at all? Because I was thinking like they could put the rifle weight in, but would that muddy the data at all and make it more complicated?
It definitely makes it more complicated. I think well, I think what complicates it is if you're asking for a ton of very specific optional data. I think if you just had like a text field that was like describe your setup and then you use like an AI or something to like filter it out, like it might be a little easier because at that point it's almost like I'm just posting on a forum like here's my rig rather than like going through a list of fields to fill out. I don't know. I think yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm definitely um in favor of keeping it as simple as possible, but if you just had a big empty optional text field that was like tell us anything else you want, you might get some interesting data. You probably
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to include it like make any like um major conclusions based on it because you're just going to have so like by definition you're going to have fewer people filling that information out and they're not always going to share the same information, but um, it might be cool if you're like, okay, so we got 100 people telling or doing the call in attempt study, and only 5 people told us how they called, but all 5 of those guys got one and were really aggressive buglers. That
Yeah.
could just be an interesting tidbit that you include, but like again, you'd have to say like this, isn't conclusive in any way because there's definitely missing data and stuff. But it's an
Yeah.
interesting anecdote, and it might lead you to tailor like future studies
Yeah.
around some of that stuff. It would just be to get interesting information, really, not necessarily like make conclusions.
No, I think that's an awesome idea because I think like this study is not going to give us mostly it's not going to give us hard answers, right? So I think if we do see outliers like that they're either like didn't call any elk in and they bugled 100 times, or they bugled 5 times and called an elk every time. If some of those people left notes, I think that could give us more context as to what was going
Yeah.
on in those outlier data. My main concern with that, I'm going to talk with Lance about this since he's doing all the data analyzation. if that's gonna if that's gonna make it significantly more complicated for him to process the data, having an extra optional text field. But other than that, I think that's awesome. Um, I think that'd be super useful. Yeah, as long as we'll have to see. I do want to finalize all this stuff by the end of this month so I can start posting and getting people on the new forms because I'm
Hmm.
going to be targeting it pretty hard, or pushing this really, really hard.
Yeah,
Um,
it's coming up, right?
two
Like,
months, two
yeah.
months. I called my girlfriend earlier and I'm like, babe, because I'm hunting all September too. I was like, babe, for the next 3 months, I'm sorry, I know we had a bunch of plans, but like, I'm gonna be going balls to the walls on this thing. Like, I mean, I really want this to pan out, and now is the time to full send it. We'll talk more about that at the end too, about the timeline that that I have hopefully planned. Um, yeah, let's jump into the just what we got going on here. First things first. One thing I want to finalize is the damn name. I've switched the name 2 times now from the original one, which was
Hmm.
Project Data Hunter. Then it was Elk Nerd Data Study, and now it's the Hunter Effectiveness Research Initiative.
Okay, one little like cheeky suggestion. If you made it the Hunter Effectiveness Research Director Directive, The it would be
Herd.
H.E.R.D.
Herd. That's dope.
But
That's
don't
dope.
let me
Okay.
convince you to change it again.
Um, well, initially I was like, oh my God, the Hunter Effectiveness Research Project. That's perfect. But then people are simply saying herpy. I don't want.
Yeah,
So my concern with the current one, and if we did directive instead of initiative, is that it's just long. Like it's just
yeah, it is long.
H.E.R.I, the HERE, the HERI. And I want people talking about this. I don't want them to have to say a mouthful every time
Yeah.
they say it. So my other options I was thinking of, I had AI, I had Grok create this presentation list. So, and I've only looked at it really quickly. So, oh gosh, see how well it did. Did you know Grok can do PowerPoints now?
I didn't, but I was just playing with Gemini and it made like a whole app for me in one shot. So
Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
it is. It is. It's honestly useful. So, that's a different topic though. But so the name finalization, where did it go? I guess it didn't include the names on it. I had the first draft, include the names. The names I was thinking of are the current one, Hunter Effectiveness Project and Hunter Effectiveness Study. Now, I like study the most, HES, just a simple Hunter Effectiveness study. But it was like, to me, I was like, well, it's not like an official study because I'm dropping the directive to try to get it published to a journal, at least for this
Mhm.
year. So it's like, can I call it a study? Is that
Oh yeah, you can call anything a study. I wouldn't
okay?
worry too much about that.
Okay. Which one do you think fits the bill for being, it's descriptive, it's easily talked about, and it makes sense, and it's short.
I think you either have to have something short or you gotta have something with a good acronym so
Okay.
that you can refer to it in a short way. I think a long name
Heard.
is fine if you're just like, oh, the H.E.R.D study. You have to be a little bit careful with H.E.R.D because you don't want to say like, okay, everyone join the H.E.R.D and then they're like, what are you talking like what H.E.R.D are you talking about?
I mean, join the herds. That's a pretty badass call to action, honestly.
Yeah, maybe.
Could we add
Uh
an A in there somewhere so it's actually herd?
oh yeah.
Oh wait, no, no, wait, that's the right one. HERD is the right one.
Yeah,
Found it.
Elk Herd, H.E.R.D.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I didn't even think of that one, dude.
I'm
Okay,
better than LLM, man.
better than what?
Better than the LLM, the AI.
LLM. Oh, yeah, gotcha. Um, Dang, that's a really good one. I hadn't thought of that. Okay. Yeah, I was using Grok to come up with names. Didn't come up with that one. That would have been great. Okay. So I really like yours. And if you had to pick one between, and if I was to pick one other than Herd, it would be the Hunter Effectiveness Study. So
Study. I
which
think
one would
so,
you
yeah.
go with?
I like Herd personally. I mean, I'm a little biased, but if you're like you know, if you've got the tagline join the herd, like you I mean, you just came up with that, but I really like that. Um
You get the
and then
credit.
as long as like when you're referring to it, you're saying if you're saying some like verbally if you're saying the herd study or like when you write it out it's like H period E period R period D period just so people aren't getting confused about like lowercase HERD versus the research study. I
Yeah,
think it's great. Like
yeah,
um it's definitely memorable.
dude. Okay, that's the easy one. Okay, we'll go with the Herd. You're right. You get all credit for that one. Cool. This is all a bunch of, oh God. Oh, it did. I guess it listed project and study in separate ones. Okay. I see what it did there. Moving on. We already touched on this. Data collection for the rifle and archery shot attempts, shot distance. I think the way that we'll have them format it in Onyx is shot distance equals, recovered equals, and then yes or
Yeah.
no. Um, what I'm planning on doing is I have the Google form, and then when they sign up, it'll automatically send them an email with these folders, sorry, with these pins, depending on if it's signed up for the rifle or the archery. And that way they can move it to where they're hunting at, and then when they actually shoot something, they can just copy the text from the one pin into their actual shot attempt pin. I think that'll be quicker than typing it out, and it'll probably be cleaner data because there won't be any typos or anything like that.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
I think that's a good idea. I think you're still gonna have to do some pretty well, I guess there's two ways you could record the bullet data. Well, okay. So for like shot distance and recovered, you're probably still gonna have to do some data cleanup. Like someone's gonna, you know, fat finger it and put or they're just gonna put yep, recovered equals yep. So you're gonna have to do some data cleanup there. And then for the bullet stuff, I think the ideal case would be, well, no, because this isn't. Are you
Well,
thinking that
so hang
you'll?
on for right there, real quick. I'll pause you. Would it help if we did something like this and kept the parentheses in there, and that way they know which option to give, and then same for yards, so they don't put feet or some other type of data. Would
I
that?
mean, I think it'll help, but you're still gonna get people who just fat finger it and don't. I mean, it's just
Okay,
it's impossible to collect like you know a ton
perfect.
of data from random people and have it so standardized.
Okay, yeah, 100%. Okay,
And then
definitely a lot of validation. So go ahead. Sorry, bullet.
for the
Collect the
bullet
bullet data.
data, is that going to be part of the Google form or like some Google form, or are you going to include that in the pins as well?
That'll be on the pins. Is that's how
Okay.
it's planned right now? Just because people change their
Yeah.
load, right before the hunt sometimes. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I mean, I think it's going to be a lot to put it. Well, I guess if it's only one shot, it's not that bad. Um, hmm. I think there might be some challenges in that, like people don't, uh, like I don't carry my box of ammo around with me, so like I pick what I'm going to go into the field with, but then like once I get in there, if you're like, what's the weight of that bullet? I honestly I couldn't tell you. And most people probably
Really?
could, but
Okay.
like I'm not keeping track of that. Like I shoot what I shoot. I go to the range. I figure out what's going to work, and then
Interesting.
I just throw a ton of them in my pocket and just rock it.
Interesting. Okay. I
I mean
honestly, I
I've got.
assumed everyone knew the bullet weight.
I mean so like when I got my elk, I tested like 15 different types of ammo, and like once I picked one, like I said, I just shoved a handful of them in my pocket or in my gun bag and ran it. And I had my dope chart, but like today I could not tell you what the weight of that bullet was.
Okay. Do you think, and I might tell me if this would help you in this example, if you're the hunter, if I include in the instruction something along the lines of, I'm going to tell them that I want them to mark this pin as soon as they finish their shot attempt, as soon as the animal's down or out of sight or they're done with the weapon, to mark this pin, and that they can always go back at the end of the day and edit this before they end up sending it to me, and they can go back to
Yeah,
their
that's a
box
good
of
idea.
ammo. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I would definitely include that. I was trying to think of a way. It'd be nice if Onyx could do like a drop down, and then you could just like down or like I don't know how you would do it, but like if this was an app that you put online, you could have a an ammo database, and then people could do a drop down
God.
and pick their ammo, and you'd have it all standardized. But I think what you're probably gonna have to do, like in the same case as people putting "yep" for recovered, like you're gonna have typos or like minor errors, and you're gonna have to, regardless, you're gonna have to reference an ammo database to like clean it up, anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get that database going before the season actually starts. But I think, yeah, I mean, to your point, like for bullet name, like the ELDX is probably one of the most popular ones, but people are going to say Precision Hunter for a lot of it too, because that's the name of the cartridge.
Right.
So I think we're going to get a lot of messy data, and it
You're
will take
probably
a
gonna
lot to
have
clean
to
it up.
use like an AI
Okay.
to clean it up. Like, hey, the the hunter wrote down fronter, and which from this ammo database is he likely referring to? And
Okay.
you're and I mean that might introduce some error too. So you might have to put like an asterisk on some of those. You might have to say like in your paper, we collected data from the 100 hunters, but we had to make a best guess at determining what you know 80 of them used because there was a typo or something like that.
Yeah.
You
And,
just have to
and
be transparent.
in my head, I was assuming I would just send an email to all these people and like ask for a correction. But I mean, if we're having 1,000 plus people sign up, that'd be no, no.
Yeah, it's definitely not
Um,
scalable.
yeah, okay, okay, good point, good point.
I mean, it's not technically speaking, you could automate all that too. I mean, you could have like one piece of code that's like going through the data, it sees an error, fires off an email, it collects the response and updates the data. Like that could all be automated, but it's gonna be it's gonna be a heavy like lift in terms of like
Yeah,
IT.
And I
structure.
don't know if we're going to be able to do that this year. And I want to talk about like my personal schedule at the end here too, because like my main goal is just going to be getting people to sign up. And I'm
Right.
going to have to drop a lot of, hopefully once all this is finalized, I can drop a lot of the administrative stuff and idea thinking, and I can go straight to just making content, sending out emails, reaching out to other creators, and just going full bore. Because like I'm not going to have the time to make that kind of script. I'm hoping Lance is the one who's doing all the data analyzation. He seems pretty invested, and he couldn't make it today because of the wedding. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping I can put a lot on his shoulders, and he's going to be willing to do a lot before the season, before we actually start collecting data.
Yeah. I could probably help with some of that too.
Okay.
Um, One other thing that comes to mind, we'll just have to set up like a GitHub or something with wherever or
Yeah.
however you want to manage the analysis code and stuff. Um,
And Lance already set up a GitHub. I'm gonna have him redo it. I made company emails, so I want everything all under the same email and everything.
uh-huh.
But yeah, yeah. So you're 100% correct on that.
You might also, it's in the same interest of like trying to, yeah, well, I'm kind of torn. Like I don't want to like encourage having to collect more data, but at the same time, like if you collected, uh, like some information about like what kind of rifle they're shooting, you might be able to go back and say, okay, Billy Bob
Mm,
put that he has a 29-inch barrel length, but Winchester doesn't make a 29-inch; they make a 28 and a half.
yeah. I don't think we're gonna do that this year. I think that'll just be too
Okay.
much. But I
Yeah.
think next year what I want to do, or after this following year, is I want to pool the people, what do you call them, poll them and see like, would you
Hmm.
be willing to collect extra data? Would you be willing to collect this kind of data? You know what I mean? And then we can figure out the next year. Then we can maybe get rifle weights and we can get like rifle, make and model like what you're saying and cross
Yeah. Yeah.
validate it. Um, yeah, I think that'll be awesome. Um, okay, we touched on we're not still not
On the
sure.
impact velocity, same thing. Like if you have an ammo database, rather than doing that 1 meter per second heuristic, you could just pull up the chart.
So, okay, it's just coming to me just now, but I know I read a study where I believe it's the Army, but there's a certain branch of military did a shit ton of testing with different ammo types, and because they were collecting 4DOF, maybe it was BC, but they were collecting 4DOF, which basically just how the bullet reacts in air.
Uh-huh.
Um, and they had a large, large database. I have to find that now.
I'm sure you can find a public database somewhere.
And I know Hornady has the 4DOF too.
You could even there are like online calculators that already have drop downs for the ammo. You might be able to like go into like the HTML code that's like public, like front facing on the website and just scrape it off because that would
Oh,
be in there.
really? You think
Like,
so? I think it'd be too large of a database to have on the HTML, no?
no, I don't. HTMLs get big, man. Let me
Really?
see. I'm just gonna do a little. We can keep talking, but I'm gonna pull up like a bullet calculator and see if I can't find something like that.
Okay. Um, yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on it right now just because there's so much to cover today. And that's one thing we don't have to know right now. But moving
Yeah,
on to archery, same thing. And one thing I want to say too is I think we're going to place some of the expectation onto the hunter too to figure out some of this stuff. I think we're going to attract people that are going to be more dedicated hunters. So to expect them to know their bullet weight, I mean, maybe 10% of them don't, but I think they'll be willing to figure it out.
yeah,
And then a big one I have too is arrow weight, and this is an exemplification of that, or an example of that is arrow weight. I don't know my arrow weight, but I'm gonna have to figure it out to enter my data when I shoot two bulls this year.
right.
So do most people know their arrow weight? I don't think so. I don't, and I shoot decent bit. Um,
I mean, I know my arrow weight, but it's not like I won't know it 6 months after I kill my animal. Like I
Gotcha.
only know it because I just recently measured it, and I because I do that. But
Okay. But
I think in the same vein, like you should assume many people won't, and they'll have to go back and collect it.
yeah. And I'm putting the deadline on the archery hunt, or the archery data on the 31st of October. So most of the hunts end in September. So if they really need to an extra day or a week or whatever to go weigh it, um, they can figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They'll get
yeah,
a mail weigher or something like that. Um, and also we'll have an automated reminder too that comes out or send out an email, 5 days before the 31st and saying, hey, submit your data, blah, blah, blah. But just to touch on this too, similar to bullet data, just by the name of the broadhead, we can get mechanical, fixed, hybrid, whether it's rear deploying, front deploying, if it's beveled, if it's three blade, two blade, four blade, that kind of thing.
Hmm. That
We
might be a
won't
harder database to find, actually.
think we'll have to make a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what was I going to say? I don't think we'll be able to get cutting diameter because a lot of them, the same model will have two different cutting diameters. Um, like the Beast broadhead has like a 1.25 cutting diameter or a 1.5 inch cutting diameter or something like that. So
Right.
that'd be interesting to test for maybe next year. That's again one thing we can add. Uh, okay.
So I did find you can just pull all this out of the HTML.
No, no shit. Okay. Which website are you looking at?
I'm looking at the federal ballistics calculator. Do you want me to share my screen really quick?
Yeah, sure.
Um,
That's one I've
just
heard of too.
how do I do this? Yeah, so they just got the drop down for different bullets, and it's all right here. Like for this is for the caliber. Like they got all the different calibers.
Oh, okay, I
So
see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
you could just copy this whole thing and throw it into an AI and say, okay, give me like a a comma separated list of calibers, or same thing for, I don't know, they've got bullet style here. I'm sure that's one of these.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I thought you were saying something along the lines of like, I don't know, how we'd calculate because it right the calculations aren't in the HTML, right? So
No, no.
but
You'd
it
have to have a different, oh, but it does update based on, so maybe that won't work. Because once you select like 300 PRC, it's going to be like, okay, well, there's no whatever other bullet type for that. So it
gotcha.
does update.
Interesting.
So, okay, maybe that's not.
Okay. And I mean, I don't know if it would even have a high chance of success, but we could reach out to them, ask if they have like an API or something public facing, or maybe there's another API out there, like an
Totally,
endpoint that we
yeah.
can write to. And that again, that's something I'll if you want to jump in on it, or if Lance wants to do that, I'll leave that up to you guys because yeah, I'll so can be focusing on content making. Um, okay, share my screen again here. Okay, so the form, I'll show you the forms that I've made. I made three separate ones so they can sign up for, I mean, if they're doing all three, I guess they could do all three. Or they just do one. Um, but we have one for calling effectiveness, one for archery effectiveness, and one for rifle effectiveness. Um, I want to cover the actual questions I have on them too. Let's see, I'm not sharing my whole screen.
I can see your spread or your uh, presentation. It's like the
Yeah,
whole window. Yeah.
yeah, but you can't. Okay, yeah, I'm in the window, I guess. I'm not sharing my because right now I'm looking at the actual form, but you're probably still looking at the
Yeah,
uh,
I'm looking at the presentation.
presentation. Okay, let me fix that. Share entire screen. Here we go. Okay, so got a little banner here. They all are named the hunting, the current name, which I'll get updated, and then just archery effectiveness, rifle, or calling. Short description here. And I guess I did kind of put the main questions in there.
Yeah, that's
Um,
good.
okay. And I don't know if I saw this in the email, but the big change I think that'll help a lot of signups is that exact pins are not required for the shot attempts,
Hmm.
only for calling. So I want to emphasize that. I think that'll help a lot of people sign up. Um,
Yeah, I would also couple that with like, if it's easier for you to just record, like mark my location, we're gonna scrub all that data anyway. Like it's not gonna be,
okay.
we're not sharing that.
Okay.
So,
I like it.
because I know, like personally, I'd rather just mark my location.
Me too. I don't care at all. But I understand, people just online seeing this, they're not gonna, they have no reason to trust me that I wouldn't, look at their data or something like that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a good point. I'll put in whatever's easiest. You can move the pin as long as it's in the same state because I do want to collect state data.
Right, right.
I'm gonna film an intro or instructional video basically on what it's for. I'm gonna be linking this I'm gonna be creating content and I'll say I'm also doing this study. So if you're interested in that, click here. So a lot of the people that are viewing this are not going to have any or very little context on what this project is about. So this video should be about 2, 3 minutes long. Give a quick rundown of what it's for, what it's the information it's gained to or aimed to gain, and then also how to record the pins, add them to the folder, and then how to share it and then send it via email to me.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. We have some basic questions here. I decided to do it classification instead of whatever you call numerical, where they can pick it.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was the right decision or not, but
I
uh,
like that. Yeah.
okay. Basic stuff here is your first year hunting 1 year and then progressively more. Stop me if any of this looks horrible. I wanted to ask a question. We talked about this last meeting on practice, how much they're practicing.
Hmm.
And I wasn't sure how to frame it. So I wanted to do how much they typically fire, how much they typically practice per year. I didn't want to do how much they're going to practice this year because if they sign up now, they may practice twice as much or not at all. Uh, so I wanted to just get a rough estimate on how much they normally practice.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay, and
You
I believe
might.
it's
I wonder if you shouldn't put something clarifying like these are practice shots because like I could imagine some people would read this and be like, well, I've only got one tag, like I'm only firing one arrow.
I
But if you
gotcha,
said
gotcha.
practice arrows or target or something,
Okay, I like it. And I wanted to test for bias too, and so I divided up into two questions that basically ask the same thing. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how strongly do you agree that fixed broadheads are more effective for hunting elk? A 1 through 5, and then same for how strongly do you feel the mechanical broadheads are more effective for hunting elk?
yeah. What why?
Um, I think I think it'll be a good way to see how much a good test on like how much the representation of the hunters that we have. I think like maybe we'll get a lot of people that are heavily biased towards mechanical or heavily biased towards fixed. I think especially in the rifle study, I think we'll get a lot of people that are heavily biased towards small calibers. Um, so I want to see that data, like how many people we're getting that are biased that way. Um, I do think I'm curious to see how this affects recovery too. As in, like, if you're heavily biased towards big calibers, for example, versus you just shoot a big caliber,
Hmm.
how that's going to affect recovery rates. I honestly, my personal belief is that people that are heavily biased um, towards heavy calibers are probably going to have a lower recovery rate because the people that I talk to in my life, if they shoot heavy caliber and they're like, that's the shit, they kind of talk about it as if it's gonna like blow up the elk. They just need to hit the foot and it's good. Or they just need to point it in that direction and it's a dead elk. So
Yeah,
that was the main thing I want to test for here.
that makes sense.
Okay.
I wish, I mean, this is kind of a different research question and the research question that I think I'm most interested in.
Yeah.
But is like is kind of getting to like, is it better to go heavy caliber or is it really shot placement that matters? And in order to do that, you'd have to record shot placements, and I don't know how you would do that. So I'm not necessarily suggesting it, but it's kind of what you're talking about, and I just I don't know,
Yeah.
talking out loud right now, I guess.
No, I got you. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that'd be ideal, right? I don't know how to record that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay. Interesting thought though. Or yeah, I mean yeah. I think when you're testing for recovery rate, you're testing for the basically the end effect of shot placement versus bigger calibers, right? But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it doesn't tell you specifically. So, um, asking for the full name, email address. I initially had phone numbers on it, and I think you had sent me an email that maybe phone number was too much, so I took that off. Um, and then I have a disclaimer here. I have two disclaimers really. And I give more. This is the instructions essentially. It'll be pretty similar to what I say in the video. but a text format, so it's more, I guess it's official, I guess, and they can read back. And it's clear.
Hmm.
I'll let you read through this.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think as long as you also have a video, it would be good. Would you say you will? I think it might be helpful to add a little bit more to that last bit about how it's critical for data integrity. Um, with like some of the other things you've said, just kind of like appealing to their um, like just interest to get this data. Like if someone's collecting this data, it's because they're interested in the results. And so just saying a little bit more about like um, either here or elsewhere, just kind of hitting home all the time the fact that like um, this data is not your data will not be usable if you don't you know follow the rules.
Okay, I'm trying to think on how to word that. I think that's a good point, though. Yeah. Okay.
So
Honestly,
the desire to
could
do
you
it.
send me how you would word that? And I think I'll throw that in because I get what you're saying, but I can't think of how to put that in words.
Oh, I would just like grok it or something.
Okay.
I don't know what to put.
Okay. This is me sitting down with Grok for a couple hours. All of this is. So
Yeah, yeah. I would just copy that last little bit and just be like, how can I like make the hunter want to give me, you know, good data and follow these rules, um, rather than just being like, you have to do this.
I like it. I like it. Yeah. And then I have a consent basically saying that this will be kept anonymous. You won't be identified by any of this. And that I own the data or my company owns the data. I want to be transparent about that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think this is reasonable.
Okay, cool. And then they're all pretty much the same. The calling effectiveness one is a little bit different. Actually, we'll jump over there real quick. And the deadline for rifle effectiveness and calling effectiveness are the end of the year, versus archery is at the end of October.
Yeah, yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay.
And you said you'll have like automated reminder emails and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, we'll have to make something for that. Um, yeah. Basically getting some basic information on them. I wanted to basically similar to how much they've been shooting, but I guess an experience question.
Hmm.
A different question here. When actively trying to locate elk, what are they trying to do? Primarily, they do bugles, cow mews, mix of both. I think this will give us a good sense of where the hunters are at, what they primarily do,
Yeah.
and maybe next year if we want to separate it out to a different kind of like include calf mews as a separate category or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is a, you know, small enough that it's easy to answer and also will give you interesting data.
Yeah. And then same thing. I also give some definitions too. Again, this one's going to be more hands-on, I guess, or more involved.
Just a little more involved, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, as long as you have a video, I don't think, and like anything you can break down into, a handful of steps is going to be fine. You might
Okay.
even like provide like a print outable checklist or something. I don't know.
Okay. Well, what I was on the follow-up email, as soon as they, go through all this, I want to send them an email with these instructions and with the video link to the video again and a link to and just listing these instructions again on text. So I
Yeah.
think that'll help. And then same exact consent statement, whatever it's
Hmm.
called. That's that.
Cool.
I need to
I think it
build an
makes sense.
auto. What's that?
I think it makes sense.
Cool, cool. I need to build an auto reply script. Um, if you want to help me with that, I think that'd be awesome. Um,
Yeah, I could probably do that.
okay. I haven't, I think I started it. Oh God, where to go? I just opened it up, but there's a thing called app scripts where you can tie it in with the Google Sheet that is attached to.
Yeah.
Um, okay. I can get you going on that. Yeah. I do have another agreement too that I'm working on that I'll have Lance sign and I'll have you sign it too. Just because there's going to be a lot of private information of people hunting and I don't want that, getting leaked or anything like that. I just want to make sure we're having all the best practices for that. So,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah. So I'll work on getting you an email set up and getting you access to all this stuff. Hopefully by the end of this weekend.
Okay.
Get my face out of here. We already covered the deadlines. Okay, here's the big one. Here's the big kahuna. Trying to make all this work. I want to have everything finalized, have the forms and the definitions, everything, notes, everything finalized by the end of this month. Um, hopefully, I think we can start posting the shorts. They're in the editing stage with my editor right now. Um, yeah, we can start posting them, but hopefully by the beginning of next month. So in a week. Um, the goal, I want to start small for July. We only have 2 months here. I want to have 200 hunters signed up by the end of July. And I know that sounds small, but I think getting a couple hundred hunters signed up gives me more authority when I'm reaching out to these podcasts and I can say, hey, look, I have X amount of people signed up. This is going to be a great project if you want to tie your name to it and get people that you're going to be interested in, get your viewers signed on to this.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it's gonna exponentially grow, especially towards the end, like right before archery season, like probably like 2 weeks before archery season is when I'm hoping to get the vast majority of people signed up. But that being said, those 200 hunters, I'm going to be emailing people, talking to my client list that I do coaching for, reaching out to people on Instagram. It's gonna be balls to the walls on that, and then hopefully we'll start getting some public attention for that.
Are you planning to, how are you planning to publicize like the results or like the output
So
of the study?
that's a good question. I'm gonna make videos, obviously. I don't know where to like. I have a website, elknerd.com. I was like, I can make a separate page for that. Um, I don't know if you follow a different channel just did a ballistic study where they tested a bunch of archery equipment. I don't know if you've seen that.
Hmm.
They have a nice website where they have a bunch of graphs. It's interactable, it shows you colors and everything. That's a good question. I don't have a solid answer for that yet.
Are you going to try to do, I mean, I think that would be helpful for getting people interested. Like you might say, I'm going to publish, you know, how bugling works in Colorado versus how it works elsewhere. Maybe mewing is better in some locations or something like that, some states.
Okay.
Um, if you publicize kind of what the output is, I think more people might be like, oh yeah, I want to know that, and then they'll sign on. So I would definitely do that. Um, I also think I don't remember the name of it, but I know one of the guys last time mentioned a like free journal that like kind of anyone can publish to. I think that could be interesting just to mostly like I don't know, you're probably not going to get a bunch of people reading like scientific research journals, but you might get a little more buy-in from either sponsors or partners like podcasts and stuff, or even like other researchers who then want to fund next year's study somehow.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely some legitimacy associated with like a research paper, even if it's not like peer reviewed and you got to pay a couple grand to get it or whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was the main reason I just wanted to join a study, obviously because it kept high standards for the project too, but it also, I mean, it just gives legitimacy, like you said, and you can say
Hmm.
this will be published. You know what I mean? It gives you so much more credibility.
Yeah.
It just sounded complicated to get it signed up. to get
Yeah.
everything published. I'm like, you know, that's something that Eric was the guy that mentioned it. If he wants to handle that, I would love for that to be done.
Yeah.
I just don't think I can focus on it right now,
Yeah, that's
which
fair.
sucks because I
I
really
would definitely
want that to
broach it
help.
with him. I mean, he's in academia. He might be interested in doing that. And, he'd probably, I did grad school, like, you know, those guys are always trying to collect, more papers. So I would definitely broach it with him.
Okay. Okay. Last ones. I don't like this slide, but um, I'm gonna be mainly focused on just recruitment, making
Mhm.
videos, as we talked about. Help. Help is what I need. Any administrative tasks, um, as we talked about, for example, like the script, that's going to help out a lot having stuff like that done. Um, I could also use help just like with project management too, like creating. I've made an Excel sheet. I haven't shared it with anyone yet, but it'd be nice to like have timelines written down, roles written down, you know, processes written down separate from the GitHub. I think that'd be nice. And also social media management. If you know or if anyone knows someone that's looking to get into social media management as an intern or something like that, I can't pay anybody because I'm not making any money off this yet. Uh,
Yeah.
but if you know anyone like that, that'd be awesome. Those are the two
Yeah.
things that have taken up most of my time that distract me from this is administrative tasks and social media management.
Yeah, I can put out some feelers. I wouldn't hold my breath, but I have a couple people in mind who might be interested.
Awesome.
And then, like I said, I'm happy to help out with any kind of scripting or whatever else.
Sick. Sick. Okay.
I'll be hard pressed to do a bunch of manual data entry, but yeah, happy to do the coding bits.
As far as manual data entry, Lance was eating all that up. He's gonna handle all that as far as
Well,
we've talked. So
power to
um,
him, man.
I know, and I understand. I'll probably have to help him a lot too with it because it's going to be a lot of work there. But yeah, and that's what I do all day, honestly, is data entry. So yeah. Okay. Well, that's 8 o'clock, man. Finished right on time.
Nice.
Any questions, concerns, or comments?
I don't think so. Uh, yeah, let's just, let me know what you need me to do, and looking forward to helping out and collecting a bunch of cool data.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Yeah.
I
Talk to
also
you.
I emailed you an ammo database that I found, so check that out.
Sick. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. See ya.
All right. See ya.